In this video, we're going to derive the Pythagorean identities using the unit circle. This is actually a very quick derivation. What we're going to do is draw a line from the center of the circle to the outside and then drop a vertical line. The unit circle is basically a circle with a radius of 1, as I've written here. So this length is also 1. We're going to mark this as angle theta. This is going to be B, and this is going to be A. So effectively our point here is A comma B. Now that we have this right triangle drawn, draw this little angle here, we can figure out what cosine theta is, as well as what sine theta is. And you can reference the formulas on the left side here. So for cosine, we have adjacent over hypotenuse, which is going to be A over 1, which is just A. Now for sine, opposite over hypotenuse, we're going to have B over 1. This is just B. So we're going to take these, move them over here. And an interesting thing you can see is that you can basically rewrite this coordinate as cosine theta sine theta, since we found that, A here is cosine and B is sine. So it's pretty interesting. Now if we plug these values into the Pythagorean theorem, a squared plus b squared equals c squared, we're going to derive the first Pythagorean identity. So a cosine squared theta plus sine squared theta equals 1 squared, which is our radius. 1 squared is just 1, so we can get rid of that. And we have the first Pythagorean identity. Sweet. Let's copy this, bring it back over. Alright, next step is to divide all of the elements in this equation by cosine squared. Once we do this, we can again use our equations or formulas on the left side over here to figure out what this becomes. So cosine squared divided by cosine squared is 1. Sine squared over cosine squared, we see that tangent is sine over cosine. So this is actually tan squared theta. Then we have 1 over cosine squared. On the left, we can see that secant is 1 over cosine, so this is going to be secant squared theta. There's the second Pythagorean identity. Sweet. Finally, we're going to do this one more time, but this time we're going to use sine squared. Alright, so start with the easy one. This is 1. Then we have cosine squared over sine squared. On our left pane over here, we can see that cotangent is actually cosine over sine. So this is going to be cotangent squared theta. And then we have 1 over sine, which is cosecant. So, or 1 over sine squared. So this is going to be cosecant squared theta. I'm going to take this, pop it over here. And basically, we've just used the unit circle to quickly derive all of the Pythagorean identities. We have cosine squared theta plus sine squared theta equals 1. 1 plus tan squared theta equals secant squared theta. And cotangent squared theta plus 1 equals cosecant squared theta. So as long as you know the unit circle, which is just a circle with a radius of 1, you can draw a triangle and you can basically very quickly derive the functions that you will need for other sorts of problems.